What is up, everybody? How's it going? Austin prechtelevate Performance coming at you live. Happy Wednesday. Happy Winning Wednesday. Going to keep this live brief, short, sweet, and to the point. As you were tuning, though, feel free to share a win. Tell me how your day is going. Leave a comment, leave a like so I know that you're tuning in. And we're going to get jumping into this here in just a second. Today, the topic is uh, how long do you actually have to spend in the gym to see results, right? How long do you have to spend in the gym working out and things like to see progress in your own journey? Because a lot of people right now starting to go to the gym are probably finding like, dang, like I'm spending a lot of time at the gym working out. Or you might be thinking, man, I really want to start my fitness journey or my weight loss journey, but I don't have 2 hours a day to go to the gym like I see people talking about doing all the time. And the good news is that you don't have to. The good news is that that's totally unnecessary to work out for like 2 hours a day. That is overkill for the vast majority of people, unless your goal is like bodybuilding oriented, and your goal is like, and your goal is to be like top tier like professional bodybuilder. Even then they don't spend that much time in the gym usually. uh, Short and sweet to the point. You don't need to spend that much time working out at the gym, and I'm gonna tell you guys why. So most people, the majority of people, depending on what muscle group you're hitting that day, uh, you should be able to get in and out of the gym within 30 to 60 minutes for your workouts for the most part. There are some exceptions, like if you're like doubling down, you're hitting legs, and then you're also hitting abs or something like that. Like that's okay because you're technically hitting kind of like two muscle groups there. But at the end of the day, you should not be spending more than 30 to 60 minutes in the gym, right? And I want to emphasize, though, at the beginning of your fitness journey, it may take longer than that. It might take like an hour and a half. And the reason is because you don't, know what you're doing yet specifically, or you haven't gotten the swing of things. You don't know how to optimize your exercises and timing things out. You may be needing to take more breaks or take more breath, like time for breaths. You may be, uncertain where certain machines are or how certain equipment works. And so because of that, you might be just, a little bit less efficient than you normally would. Whenever I first started working out, whenever I first started going to the gym, I'd be in the gym for like an hour and a half, 2 hours if I was doing cardio. Sometimes, especially when I was in college. But at the same time, I was doing more cardio. I didn't necessarily know what I was doing as well. I wasn't as efficient. Certain exercises, I wasn't supersetting, which we'll talk about in just a second. But for you and for the most part, most people, you can reach your goals. With I would say like a half hour workout a day, you could reach your goals, very easily. And maybe even less depending on how efficient you are or what you're hitting. And so and how much you're messing around while in the gym, and how focused you are on getting in and getting out. And so and why is that? So all weight loss, though, at the end of the day, I want to remind everybody, all weight loss or fat loss is from nutrition. At the end of the day, it is from nutrition. It is through being in a caloric deficit. And sometimes, yes, you can supplement that caloric deficit with cardio or with workouts, although strength training is not a very effective method for burning calories specifically, as it is in terms of helping build muscle. But at the end of the day, that is where the majority of your weight loss is going to come from. It's through your diet. And so if you want to lose weight or you want to prioritize fat loss, right, that's going to come down to the diet. And so that how much time you spend in the gym isn't going to you can't outwork a bad diet, so it's not going to impact that as much as people think it's going to. How you look and how you feel, and for like the other health biomarkers and things like that, that's where strength training comes in. It's anybody can lose weight from diet alone, but how you look and how you feel whenever you get to that goal weight, right, that's where strength training comes in to play. And so making sure that you're saving yourself the time, and saving yourself, and not limiting yourself by saying I can't work out, I don't have the time. Everybody has the time. Everybody has the time to get workouts in. It just depends on how creative you can get sometimes, right? Maybe you can't go to the gym because you have kids, right? I get that. Maybe you can't because gym daycares are closed right now, or maybe you don't. Maybe you're a stay-at-home mom. I get that. at home workouts are an option though, right? Maybe when they're napping, maybe whenever they're eating, maybe whenever they're kind of sitting down and kind of zoned out, like getting a little workout in while they're doing their own thing. At different stages of different parts of parenthood, I will say, getting workouts in are definitely easier, but not impossible at the end of the day. And so, at the end of the day, though, you shouldn't be spending more than unless it's a really intense leg day and you're training with a partner, and so you guys are taking turns and things like that. Like you should not be working out for more than an hour a day. And if you're doing cardio on top of that, like that might be fine to push the limit past an hour, and that's okay. But I see Chris says I'm looking to spend an hour at the gym. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so it's one of those things. Like at the end of the day, like being able to optimize and make things more like streamlined and efficient. That's going to be the best thing. Like, and if you're not, and because a lot of times too, a lot of the reason why people spend so much time at the gym too is because either it's really busy, right? It might be really busy. So another tip I would say is go when people aren't there if you can help it. Go earlier in the day. Stop going immediately after work. Because that's when everybody else is going too. And so, yeah, machines are going to be taken. Machines are going to be busy. Everything's going to be, it's going to be a lot less efficient. Another thing too, that you can implement into your own workouts is this concept of supersets. If the workouts that you're doing apply to that, where you basically, you're working out one muscle, right? If you're hitting, um, let's just say that you're hitting biceps and triceps that day, right? Actually, let's just say biceps and shoulders, right? So you're sitting there, right? You're doing maybe some seated bicep curls, right? Some seated supinated bicep curls. And instead of stopping and taking like a 30-second break or a 20-second break or whatever it may be from that set of hitting biceps, right? You just finish your set. You're just like, yep, whew, that was good. Instead of just sitting there and chilling and then doing your next set of bicep curls, well, if you're hitting shoulders that day too, hey, finish your set of curls immediately without taking a break. Go into some overhead press, right? Some Arnold presses, some shoulder presses, dumbbell shoulder press, right? So there are efficient ways, and then while you would normally be taking that breath or rest period, you're knocking out another set of shoulder exercises that you'd probably be hitting later. So you're being more efficient with your time, right? Another way to be more efficient with your time, not play on your phone while you're working out, right? Everybody does it sometimes, right? Or maybe you're switching songs and things like that, skipping a song or whatever it may be. But making sure that you are not like dicking around on your phone while you're at the gym, because that's gonna waste a lot of time, right? We've all been there where we're just like we're doing our workouts and then we get a text or like somebody sends us a TikTok or something like that, and then we're watching it and we're like, oh shit, like how I've had like a 3 minute rest period. What the hell's going on? And yeah, so don't do that. And it's also the beginning of the year, so more people are at the gym. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The gyms are super busy right now, guys. They're super busy right now. And so yeah, so supersets could be an option. Not messing around on your phone. Taking shorter rest periods between sets, that's also an option to help speed up your workouts. But at the end of the day, right, like I said, you can reach your goals. Don't sell yourself short. Don't tell yourself that you can't get in shape, that you can't work out because you don't have the time, because you can't commit to a 60-minute workout or an hour and a half workout or 2 hour workout, because you don't have to. You don't have to do that. And just to be honest, like, is it nice to be able to eat more food if you do cardio and to to increase your caloric deficit through cardio, like if you have the time? Yeah, it can be nice, but I'm just here to tell you guys, like, you don't need to do any cardio to lose weight until you get to a pretty pretty low caloric intake, right? And even then you can reverse diet and then have more calories and then just start the process over again eventually. Like, right, if you're prepping for a show or something like that, then yeah, you'll probably have to do some cardio. But most people, in all honesty, like, other than just for the purpose of if unless as long as you're hitting kind of like a daily allotted amount of steps and you're not like sedentary all day, right? You probably don't have to do a shit ton of cardio, right? You probably don't have to do more than like maybe a 10-minute walk or a couple 10-minute walks a day or something like that. Like, you don't have to be on the treadmill for a half hour to an hour every day. Like, you should not be doing that, especially if you're just starting out. Most people, if you know what you're doing, you you honestly, and you're okay with the amount of food that you're eating, right? And you don't want to have to eat more, or you don't, if you're not starving and you don't want to have to increase your caloric intake or caloric deficit through cardio. You don't really have to do cardio for any reason other than maybe like health, right, or to help get your steps up for the day. So if you're fairly active person on a day and you're not super sedentary due to your job or whatever it may be, right? You probably don't have to do any cardio for your work for your weight loss journey at this stage, anyways. With where you're at right now, everybody's goals are different. Everybody's at a different place in their own journey right now, so I can't say if that applies to you specifically. But for most people, caloric deficit is the way to go, and therefore you don't have to spend more than an hour a day at the gym. And honestly, most people can reach their goals. As long as you're working out around 3 to 5 days a week, you're gonna get there. Obviously, the more you work out, the sooner you're gonna reach your goals, or the sooner your body's gonna recomp itself, because you're putting in more work, putting in more time, and stimulating it more. But at the end of the day, you really don't need to be in the gym more than an hour. Honestly, my workouts, just to be like transparent, I mean, the longest my workouts usually take are an hour at most, and sometimes that includes cardio. Right? I probably a lot of my workouts, if I'm efficient, I can get the majority of my workouts done in a half hour, right? Compared to when I was in college, or even like within the last 5 to 10 years, I would spend hour and a half, 2 hours at the gym every day, which is definitely a lot more of a time commitment and energy training and things like that than just like the 30 to 60 minute workouts that I do now. So yeah, you'll get there though eventually. And if you're so don't, at the end of the day, I just wanted to bring this up and I want to talk about this because a lot of people who are in a journey right now, or who are just starting, or who are afraid to start, I hear that a lot of times. I don't have time to commit all that time to workouts all the time. I'm busy. I got to take care of my kids. I got a job that I'm working and things like that. And it's like, at the end of the day, we make time for what's a priority to us, but there are more efficient ways to make that time, and it doesn't have to be as much time as a lot of times people think it is. So to reach our goals. So you guys have got this shit though. You guys have got this. I just want to hop on here and talk about that though for a second. But other than that, have a good ass rest of your day. That's all I got for you guys today. If you got value from this, let me know. Drop a comment in here, drop a like, so that way I know that you saw this video, helps other people see it. Hope this is helpful. Hope this is valuable. Hope that this, makes you realize that, hey, like maybe I can actually reach my goals, and I don't have to be at the gym forever. I can save myself some time if I program my workouts efficiently. So yeah, other than that, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you have a good ass rest of your day, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. See you guys.